This is the magicwordpodcast.com.
Hello, this is Scott Wells for the magicwordpodcast.com. And yes, we are at the airport about to catch my flying carpet, which is Southwest Airlines winging me away to Atlanta, Georgia. This time of the year, perhaps you know it better as Hotlanta, and that's probably going to be an overused term over the next few days once we get there. Golly, it's hot. But it's hotter actually in Texas than it is in Georgia, so I'm kind of looking forward to a little cooler weather, if you will. Well, as we lead up to the I.B.M. convention, this is the 100th celebration, and I understand that David Copperfield will be in attendance of some sort, whether it's going to be via Zoom, Skype, or online some way, or perhaps physically. I'm not expecting him to physically be there, but there will be a lot of friends and great talent that we will all get a chance to visit while we're there. Well, as I said, I'm at the airport then right now, and it's not my usual 6 a.m. flight. This is a 6 p.m. flight, so it is a little bit later in the day. I've been able to get a few things done here today, and over the last couple days, I've been traveling quite a bit, thanks to the Friends of the Magic Word, who are the ones who help to defray my costs, because I've been going to a lot of conventions. I've been in Las Vegas for the last month, and then went to Branson, Missouri, and so I've been all over. Got a lot of great episodes that are going to be coming up in future weeks and months that we've already got, and more that I'm going to be adding here soon while I'm at the next few conventions. Of course, this week's the I.B.M, and then when I get back, turn around soon and going to be heading up to Quebec for F.I.S.M, and then to Abbott's Get-Together in Colon, and then after that to Baltimore for Poe's Magic Conference. A lot of stuff coming up. And so, speaking of being thankful for friends, I want to welcome the newest friend of the Magic Word, and that's Jesse J. Panganaban. I believe is the pronunciation, Panganaban. So thank you, Jesse, very much for joining us, and thank you for your pledge. That certainly helps to help defray our various expenses that we have associated with producing this podcast. I also want to thank Kevin Daniel and also to Steve Chesday, who were a couple of guys who had sent in recent donations, and this is something I want to, it usually goes without saying. I say without saying, at least publicly, but I want to thank those and so many others who from time to time and year to year will send in donations, or if they see me at a magic convention, will give me cash donations there that supplement what they have already given. So in other words, they already have received many of the benefits of being a member, but they have, for whatever reason, selected not to pledge on a ongoing basis, but occasionally will just say, hey, it's time for me to give my annual pledge, or whatever, maybe whenever we see each other, or just kind of through the mail or whenever. So anyhow, I just want to thank, again, Kevin Daniel. And I enjoyed, by the way, having breakfast while I was in Vegas. Kevin contacted me. We got together, and he gave me a bottle of wine and some bottle of gin as well for martinis. And we had a delightful breakfast and a good time. Thank you, Kevin, very much for that and getting together. It's always great to hear from a listener who reaches out, and we physically get together and get to spend some quality time together. So I really did enjoy that. And so, again, just wanted to thank those guys and thank each and every one of you listeners for tuning in each week, and especially to the Friends of the Magic Word, are the ones who help us to financially support this, my ongoing project and podcast to keep this going far into the future. Also, this past week, I just want to tell you, this was a pleasant experience. Whenever you are when we are on hold on the telephone, or we are chatting with someone online through a website or something, you never know how long you're going to have to work, or the attitude of the person online, because I think they just have a pretty bad day having to deal with customers they never see or never will see or hear from. Then again, and for the most part, just hearing complaints. Well, this last week I was speaking with someone from the Marriott Vacation Club Resorts and actually doing an online chat, and that was with April T. That's T for Tienes, I believe, or Teens, T-I-E-N-N-E-S. And it was delightful. I just had a great experience, and so thank you, April, if you're listening, for sharing just a great online chat as I got the information that I needed and got squared away. You were a professional and very helpful throughout then as well. So anyhow, it's always nice to get something favorable and pleasant like that, and had a positive experience through that website. And also, she has a blog that talks about, movies and books and other kinds of things that you can check out then as well. I believe it's, again, April, Tiennes, I believe. You might do a search and you can find her blog. Anyhow, here we are, again, in Atlanta, about to head out and looking forward to just the next few days. This is Tuesday night as I'm heading out. Convention, we're going to have a full day tomorrow on Wednesday. Then again, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then I'll be heading out on Sunday. So there will be daily updates forthcoming. I want to mention right now also there will not be a podcast next Thursday because I'm going to take just a little bit of a break, so I'm just not inundating you with so many episodes that you're not going to be able to keep up with everything and not be able to hear things because of the back-to-back conventions we're going to be having, and also the back-to-back-to-back of all the convention reports on a daily basis. So I don't want to overwhelm you and feed you like taking a drink from a fire hydrant, and sometimes with all the stuff that I keep sending out. But I hope that you're interested and you keep listening, and you help also spread the word, the magic word, by sharing that on your social media then as well. And since I am, by the way, at the airport, and it's not evening, and I really haven't had too much to eat today. In fact, all I had was a bowl of oatmeal and a muffin and a cup of coffee here this morning, and that was my meal for the day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So right now, I have to have a donut. Actually, I got some orange juice. Didn't get some coffee, but let's see what kind of Dunkin' Donuts donut that I got. That's right. I just got one, and that is a chocolate eclair. I like that custard filling, and I like the chocolate. And an eclair. I mean, how bad can that be? It's going to be good for me. That'll be my dinner. How about that? So, thank you guys very much for listening, and we will see you on the other side over in Hotlanta. Okay, I think I'm going to stop saying that. Scotty out. We finally arrived in Atlanta, and first thing I did when I arrived after the shuttle had got me over here, the bar was full, and so I had a chance just to chat with a bunch of folks and get caught up, have a drink, and it was fun until after midnight. And by the way, this is for you too. And so now it's on Wednesday morning, the first official day. I have the first of a full day of activities. And I'm here with Bob Patterson, who is the registration chairman. Good morning, Bob.
Morning, Scott. How you doing?
Fine. You look bright-eyed and bushy-tailed here already. What time did you get up this morning?
Well, I got up about 6:30 to get started, to set things up.
You've been the registration chairman here for, and of course the past international president, you're a
right.
PIP, but how many years have you been doing registration?
This is my 11th year.
Okay, so if anybody out there who works at conventions and organizes or whatever, you might want to consider getting hold of Bob. He knows it all, done it all, and can give you some tips and do's and don'ts. What's the biggest thing you think is the most difficult thing you have to do each year?
This year, because we're rolling people over from the Pittsburgh convention registration to this convention, that got complicated. And we've also had a lot of last-minute schedule changes, and that gets complicated because a lot of the schedules are already printed.
Oh, that's true. And so as you would put in every bulletin, I guess the schedule is subject to change.
Yes. And the other thing we have this year, we have the QR code.
Yeah.
And if you use your cell phone, you can snap on it, and that'll take you to the current schedule online.
Okay, so if anything changes, you can change that digitally online.
Online.
Like in a moment's notice.
Absolutely. It's online. That's the most accurate schedule.
Okay, is that like an event kind of a thing? It tells you also if the room's changed and everything else?
Yes. It gives it a whole thing.
Yeah. Very handy to have. That's certainly a good thing. Do you have an idea about how many people, since you're registration chairman, have registered, including, I guess, families and children and everybody?
Yeah, we had a limit made of 500.
Okay.
And that's what we have, plus dealers, plus performers. So we're running pretty close to about, I would say, 500 and probably 75 people.
I guess you had to put a limit on it because of the size of the hotel, number one, and because this is the 100th celebration, which is a very special thing.
And the big limit was put on because of the theater size that we're using. It only seats 500.
Oh, okay. That makes a big difference. So unless you're going to do like what Magic Live does and have 2 seatings.
Yeah, and they didn't do that. Yeah.
Yeah, logistically, it's a
in the
nightmare.
past we've had a regular theater downtown or someplace
Right.
close by, and we used it so we can sell public seats. Also, this year we couldn't do that because of we're using the hotel, and we converted it to a theater.
Right. That's one of the things I think is probably one of the last bastions to go, and that is the theater. The live theatrical event in a legitimate theater is something that the I.B.M. has long done, but we've paid a lot through that.
Right.
And it's gotten more and more expensive with unions and everything else, and so that is probably one expense that we and most other conventions should be cutting back on, I guess.
Yeah, that's probably right. And but in this case, I think, from what I can see on the schedule and from what they've lined up for the talent, they did a good job this year, I think. Mm-hmm. It'll be great.
It looks fantastic, and I know that David Copperfield is a guest of honor this year.
Yes, he will not be here physically. He'll be here virtually.
Yes, I understand. We're all looking forward to that, and also seeing each other. It's good to see you, Bob. Congratulations on another 11th. This is the 11th year.
Whatever I do, I don't know. Okay.
You do a good job.
Okay,
thanks, Bob. Some of the Magic Word Podcast. That's Bob Patterson. Scotty out. As we begin our day, we just talked with Bob Patterson, and now we're talking with someone who is one of the performers and one of the talent. As I promised you, of course, with these daily updates, so we get a chance to chat with some talent. And this is someone that we all know, love, and love to see and laugh with, and that's Mr. Jeff Hobson. Here he is. Hi, Jeff.
Hey, Scotty. Nice to talk to you over this wonderful breakfast at the Hilton in Atlanta, Georgia.
Having a great time over here, and I understand you're going to be in just for a day or two. You're performing when tonight? This is Wednesday? Or?
Yeah, actually, I sort of made a mistake. I don't know if it's a mistake. We'll find out. Is that I booked this and said, oh, yeah, I have to get back for the weekend at Marvyn's Magic Theater. And then realized that, well, not only am I headlining, which is all fine and dandy, but we're sold out, so it's a little bit of pressure. But not only that, it's just like I realized that there's so many delays in the flights, I might not make it back for the shows. And I got here with a little bit of a panic on me, so if you'll forgive me if I'm a bit discombobulated.
So that's different from usual. How?
Yeah, now I'm not on cocaine or morphine or anything, so I'm pretty much just coffee.
Yeah, just a little caffeine.
Yeah.
So you were telling me you have been performing over in Michigan. You're thinking about giving back to Michigan a little bit or something, or what's the deal?
Well, ever since my wife and I moved to Las Vegas, she's been wanting to move back to Michigan because she does not like the heat. And she goes, honey, we've been here 30 years. We're going back. It's my turn now, which I don't blame her. And yeah, 120 degrees. I mean, I saw, in my neighborhood, it was so hot. I saw a tree leaning toward a dog. So it's really warm there now. And so we were thinking, gosh, we're back in Michigan, and so I like to get back and sort of plant my foot firmly in the state again, and my favorite city is Traverse City, Michigan, and it's a beautiful city on the bay. I have a special arrangement with a room above the Red Ginger restaurant. It's called the Lotus Room on downtown Traverse City, and I've got every Wednesday in August. I'm going to be performing 2 shows a night, 6 and 8 o'clock. So that's sort of, and I'm inviting everybody. And I said, hey, come on over. Let's see the show. Let's get some press going, and maybe I can cause a little bit of a stir, and who knows, maybe make it permanent someday.
Is there anything else showing there? Is it like a comedy club or just a room that you rented?
No, there's nothing. As far as entertainment, there's a state theater, which is a very old, wonderful theater that Michael Moore actually was on the start of the 501c, and they were showing old, wonderful films like Casablanca and charging 25 cents a ticket. And 25-cent popcorn and 25 cents, and of course it's packed, Yeah. So that's their main entertainment there. And then they have an opera house from the early 1900s, 600-seat, beautiful. And I just saw Tim Allen there. But they have special events, but not many. So this will be the first, I guess, out of the ordinary theater room right now, but hopefully eventually make it a theater someday.
Now, you and I had talked the last time we were doing a Magic and Martini virtual happy hour Thursday some time ago, and during the time we were having lockdown, and we were talking a little bit about what Marvyn's Magic Theater was doing at the time and how you were having to be spaced out, but you were still open during that time, and now you're kind of back to full capacity, I guess.
Yeah, well, we were definitely shut down for 18 months. We couldn't open in California, very strict at all. No, and then when we did decide to reopen, we did have to have mandatory mask mandates. But on our end of the Coachella Valley where we're at, it's very let's just say that people sort of flipped the finger at the governor of California and said, "I'm not wearing a mask." So we had a lot of people come in without masks.
Sounds like Texas.
Yeah, well, yeah, actually it is. Yes, you're right. It is. And so there were half our people kept the mask on, half didn't, and then finally after the mask mandate lifted off February 15th, and our business got really good for 2 months, but then as our season ends, which is coming up now, this weekend, matter of fact, I'm doing the last shows, we're going to close up and then reopen again in October.
I didn't know you had season. I thought you were like 12 months. So
no. Well, funny enough, we realize now we can be open 12 months. But this is our first full year we've ever done. We finally are completing it. And had I known months ago that actually the summer was going to be successful, which it is, like I said, we're sold out for this weekend, which I'm really sold out in season, but now the summer's coming. I realize I can't stay open, so next year I'm hoping to keep it open full on. So
now, do you have variety acts, or do you just have one person that anchors it per week, or they come for 2 weeks, or what are the acts? Yeah, well, we started our first season as 1 week. Every week is a different entertainer. They do the whole show. I always hosted it and introduced everybody. And we also had an opening act. We found out that our budget just doesn't permit that, plus a close-up person, plus everything else, because our numbers just didn't support it. And so this past year, full year, we had one headliner, and that was every 2 weeks. And then I would host, and we'd have a close-up, which is normally either John Carney or Lou Serrano or somebody like that. Joe Skilton, who's also great. So now coming up next season, I'm going to go back to the original format of somebody different every week. A little more difficult, logistics a lot more difficult. But we're still going to do it, and bringing back John Carney close-up and a few other guys close-up, and I'm still hosting. So it seems like that format where I do about 15 minutes and the headliner does about an hour seems to be a good mix. Everyone loves it, has a great time. It's perfect timing. And that's at La Quinta, which is how far from L.A.?
Well, it's about 2.5 hours from L.A., but it's called the Coachella Valley, and we're part of the Palm Springs Valley, Palm Springs, California, and I'm about 30 minutes east of Palm Springs.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, back to this convention at the I.B.M, by the way, so you're going to be performing then back out of here and then going back there.
Very quickly, yeah. Tonight I'm going to be emceeing the show with some great entertainers, including Puck and Francis Menotti and Lindsay, and a few other fine performers. And then tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock, I do a lecture, and then I hop on a plane at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Got to get back, hopefully, without any delays,
fingers crossed, yeah,
so that I can make my Friday and Saturday shows.
Now, we'll not see you in Quebec because you'll be obviously busy there, but I'll see you at Abbott's Get Together.
I might make it for a Saturday because, as I say now, Traverse City is about 4 hours away, 4 hours north, and I'm going to be up there for the majority of the month. Okay. I'm going to try and sneak down to catch that Saturday, that first Saturday.
You're not on the bill, though.
I am not on the bill, but who knows? As you show up, they go, hey, we need somebody to clean up the floors, whatever it is. So you never know.
That's right. Well, Jeff, good seeing you wherever and whenever we can.
Thanks, Scotty. Always a pleasure. Yeah. Thank you very much.
So for the Magic Word Podcast, that was Jeff Hobson. Scotty out. So as we're preparing to go to a show, I happen to catch someone who's on his way every place. That's the incoming president, Billy Hsueh. Hi there, Billy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic. Congratulations, by the way, on your new incoming year. You'll be officially president, tomorrow?
Technically tomorrow, but technically at the end of the convention, because this is Ken's convention.
So what kind of surprises or excitement do we have in store for your year as you come into presidency?
Well, that would ruin the surprise now, wouldn't it?
But you're right, exactly. But there are some things I guess you have in mind that you want to do?
Yep. My plan is to reach out to more of our international members. Okay. That way, like you guys know about our variety talks and all of our online programs, but we're trying to branch out in terms of content creators from Australia, from the UK, Hong Kong, China, all those places. That way, the members there can have something in their time and in their language,
right.
And as well as possibly maybe revamping our website so that it's more accessible in terms of items and resources for our international members as well.
Making it truly an international brotherhood
Correct.
of magicians and sisterhood, a community of magicians.
A community of magicians. That's right.
Exactly. So this is going to be a great convention. Anybody that you're looking forward to, or an event or something that's exciting. This is the 100th celebration of this. This is 100 years of our convention, or 100 years of the I.B.M. since Len Vintus and everybody formed it.
I believe this is 100 years of the I.B.M. convention.
I think the organization is older.
Yes, the organization.
We start conventions till later. Yeah,
that's correct.
So, is there something or somebody that you're looking forward to, particularly this one?
Jeff Hobson. I love watching Jeff Hobson. He always makes me laugh, and I can't wait to see him and his lecture.
Yes. It's going to be, but he's in and out. I just had breakfast with him, and he was just saying, "I'm going to be here tonight, and I got to get back."
Yep.
So
he's here for a short jaunt, and we're so happy that we were able to get him.
And for those people who are listening, if you get a chance, you need to jet over here to Atlanta because we got a lot of more magics going to be in store. We just finished with the Lance Burton and Jeff McBride teen seminar. How'd that go?
I wasn't here for that. I just got in late last night.
Okay, because you used to be involved with that, weren't you?
Yes, I used to be part of the Lance Burton teen seminar.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the things that inspired you, I guess, to continue. And then, of course, being mentored by Sean Farquhar and others to kind of be who you are today.
That's right. Most of that is the influence of my local I.B.M. ring 92, the Vancouver Magic Circle, and they kind of brought me up since I was like 11.
Which is the reason you should join an I.B.M. ring and your local ring.
That's right. They help you compete. They help you grow in magic, and also keep your ego in check.
So one last thing, and I'll let you go. What would you say are a couple of top benefits of being a member of the I.B.M.?
One of the top benefits of being a member of the I.B.M. is 100% the community. You won't find a community that's more loving, that's more willing to accept you for who you are, no matter where you come from, and will always support you and be behind your back 100%.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Good. Billy, I know you're in a hurry, and we got to go to the other things. Appreciate your time. Good luck for this coming year.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Scott.
So for the Magic Word Podcast, that was Billy Hsueh, the incoming president of the International Brotherhood of Magicians, Scotty out. We just finished watching Mario Magician doing I don't know how to explain this, but it was an experience, the Mario the Maker experience. And I'm here now with Ed Ripley, which is another whole experience. Hey, Ed, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing, Scott?
I'm doing great now that I'm here with you. It's always good to see and talk with you. Now, I've just mentioned about Ed. What about that show? Was that fantastic or what?
Yeah, it was incredible. There was stuff going on. A lot of it was sleight of hand, and a lot of it was just mechanical marvels, little bits and pieces that he had put together. Is really interesting.
I know it's so very tightly scripted, but I wonder how much of that actually is improvisational, because there are little throwaway things. It's like, I think he's just kind of, it looks like he's reminded of something, said, oh yeah, and then he picks that up and it's a little goof or a gag or something. He must have a million throwaways in that show.
Oh, I'm sure he does. I'm sure he does.
It's so much fun because he has to go with what the audience is going to do, and he had a lot of kids who are in the audience too. But I'm here now talking with you because there are people who compete and who may want to compete, or who have never competed, or might have a family who has some children who might want to compete. So tell me something about, you've been competing with your act for years, and soon going to be going to Quebec. You're going to be competing with F.I.S.M. then this year?
Yeah, I'll be competing in F.I.S.M. in a couple weeks.
And you even competed with Penn and Teller on Fool Us.
So I was on Fool Us with Penn and Teller, and it was a wonderful experience.
You should have fooled them, actually.
They guessed right, so they were right on. But the trick, they loved it. I loved that trick, and it was a great experience being on that show.
What would you say to those who might want to compete on, not necessarily your level, but just getting involved for the first contest, and if they're a little bit self-conscious about maybe being in front of judges and an audience? What are your thoughts in encouraging people to do that?
Yeah, so I think everybody should get a chance to compete if it's something that they feel like they want to do. I think one of the best pieces of advice is to script it and to practice. And if you've got a script, keep tightening and editing that script until you feel really comfortable and you get reactions from the audience. And then just do it as much as you can and in front of as many people as you can. And it needs to be enjoyment for you. You can't make whether you win or lose be the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is the chance to meet new people and try new things.
You can't let that define you, because if you lose, I mean, that's part of life, is winning and losing, and that you can grow from your losses. And right?
Well, different judges are going to see things differently. So if you had 3 panels of judges, you might win one and you might lose one, and that doesn't mean that your act was any better or any worse. It's just how they perceive it. A good example is I did an act that was all sleight of hand, and I kept saying it was based in science. And I was talking about the principles of science that I was using, and it was all bunk. And it was extremely difficult sleight of hand. And at the end, the guy said, well, you didn't do any magic. It was all science. And it blew my mind, because everything I did was sleight of hand. And I got one of the lowest scores I've ever gotten, because he said it was just all science.
Well, that happened, I think, to Leonard Green. They thought he was using a gimmick deck or something, and he had to come back and prove that it was a borrowed deck. And
So, don't let the wins and losses define you, and go in it with a healthy attitude that every time you do it, you get better. Every time you perform, you get better, and do it because it makes you happy. Don't do it because you want to win a prize, or you want to. If you chase fame, you're going to end up wasting a lot of time.
That's good advice.
Don't chase fame.
Yeah, don't do it because you think this is going to give you that golden ticket.
A man with friends is rich indeed. So
right, but not necessarily someone who has won all the contests in the world.
Yeah, so
friends are more important.
Yeah, I've won my share of contests, but you know as well as I do from all of our years at 4F that Saturday night before the show is probably the best time that we have at the whole convention. Yeah. Just getting together with our old friends and frankly telling lies and tall tales, and first liar ain't got a chance, and smoking cigars and maybe having a scotch or two. It's the relationships that you build in magic that you're going to remember when you're old.
That's right.
You're not going to go back and look at the trophies. You're not going to polish the trophies. Fame is a fleeting thing.
But another one of the benefits, and I've heard Jeff McBride say this several times, are the experiences you have backstage with the other contestants that you will carry on for life.
Yeah, so one of the I.B.Ms, I think it was in Texas, was the best experience I had in a contest. And it was after the show, all the contestants got together and we sat down and did our acts for each other.
Wow.
And it was an absolute delight, because when we're doing a contest or doing a show, you don't necessarily get to see everything. And then afterwards you hear about it and you kind of regret not seeing the whole thing. For me, magic my whole life, magic has been about telling stories and getting people emotionally involved with the things that are important to me and making friends. So, I've told people several times how I got it started in magic. It was August 9th, 1973. It was my 10th birthday. My grandmother gave me a $100 bill, which in 1973 would be like $1,000 now, and she took me to Bob Hutchings' Magic Shack in Jacksonville, Florida. I can remember it like it was yesterday, and we bought magic, and he showed me some things, and I've been doing magic ever since. So I've gone all over the world doing magic, but I'm not really a magician. I'm an engineer. All my engineer buddies like me because I'm the magic guy. And you know as well as I do that there are famous magicians all over the world that call me to do effects for them because I'm their engineer guy.
Or a consultant.
So, so I consult with some really famous magicians on some really cool stuff. And they like me because I'm their engineer guy. So I've really kind of carved a unique spot for myself between the engineering and magic community, and made some friends on both sides, and it's been absolutely wonderful. I wouldn't trade the magic for anything.
Well, good luck at F.I.S.M. I think it's coming up in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And you have competed there before, too.
I competed in Busan, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
Busan, South Korea.
Yeah.
And didn't win, and that's another thing, like you were just preaching, and that is even though you haven't won, you're not deterred. You're going to continue and try again.
Yeah, and then I'm actually performing here at the I.B.M, and that was kind of my goal, was start getting booked at a few things where I can kind of showcase what I've been working on for the past, 40...
A while.
Yeah, 50
40 days.
Yeah, 50
plus years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Ed. I appreciate it. I enjoy our friendship, and good luck performing here and also at Quebec. See you there.
Yeah, and I'll see you both in Quebec, and I'll see you back in Batavia next
year for the 50th.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So for the Magic Word Podcast, that was Ed Ripley. Scotty out. Well, this is the I.B.M. convention, but I think it's only appropriate to show the drawing power of this convention and the brotherhood and sisterhood, let me just say the community we have worldwide of magicians by having the president of the S.A.M, who is joining us then as well, our national president, Rod Chow. Congratulations. Hello, Rod.
Hello, Scott. Nice to be here. And, of course, we're celebrating the 100th anniversary of I.B.M., which is momentous. So I'm glad the S.A.M could be here as well to, because, of course, we do have this strong brotherhood, sisterhood with them. So over so many years.
That's right. This has just been this is, of course, the 100th celebration, and the S.A.M had theirs in New York, 15 years ago or something?
Actually, 20 years ago, because this year will be the 120th anniversary of the S.A.M.
Because I remember at the 100th in New York when David Copperfield was there, and that's when they had to roll out of the stamp. No, it wasn't the stamp. There was something that was going on also, I think, around that time.
That was momentous, too.
That was, yes, it was. And again, by the fact that you are here representing the S.A.M. National is great. But it's not just national. Of course, the S.A.M. is the oldest society, older than the I.B.M. And I guess the story goes, what was that? Whenever they went to Len Ventus and a couple others went over to Houdini to ask about if he wanted to join, he was upset he didn't, because he was a past president of the S.A.M. Houdini was,
Houdini was from 1916 to 1926, the year he died. He was the longest-running S.A.M. national president, and he brought in a lot of members, and he created a lot of assemblies.
Right, but he was saying, "Why do we need another organization? We've already got one."
Well, yeah. I don't know what his thinking was, but I'm glad that we did create this extra organization.
Exactly, and it has grown exponentially and internationally. And then we have Anthony Darkstone, who is our international representative as well, who helps us with international members.
Yes, absolutely. Anthony Darkstone is the president of the International Assembly of the S.A.M, and he is bringing a lot of members in from all over the world to the S.A.M. And, of course, the S.A.M is a worldwide organization, so we welcome people from all over the world. In fact, that is the theme of my year presidency, is we welcome the world.
Oh, that was what I was just about to ask you, what you plan to do for this coming year, so we welcome the world.
Absolutely, because first of all, we're going to be at F.I.S.M. We'll actually be first at F.I.S.M. because we're actually having our National Council meeting the weekend just before F.I.S.M. starts. So the Saturday, Sunday, we'll have National Council meeting, we'll have the inauguration banquet, we'll even have a little tour of Old Quebec, and it's so beautiful there, and we're going to really enjoy it.
When will the tour be? Is that on Sunday before? Or?
That will be on the Saturday afternoon.
The 23rd?
That will be the 23rd, Saturday afternoon. And right after the tour, we actually arranged poutine bar. And poutine, of course, if you're in Quebec City, this is where poutine was invented. And then you want the best poutine original, you go to Quebec City for that.
Explain what poutine is.
Poutine is a special Quebec dish, and you can get it across Canada. But it's about our poutine that we're going to be having for that afternoon. We're going to actually have a mixture of fries and gravies and smoked meats and barbecue and barbecue meats. It's going to be all together, and you're going to have build your own poutine basically, and it's just going to be delicious.
Wish I could be there. I was planning on being there in time, but my flight had been, I was coming in on the 23rd.
Yeah.
Kept being delayed. Now I don't get until 11:30 p.m. So it's crazy.
Oh, that's too bad. I know, this is happening all over the place. Yeah, flights are causing a little bit of havoc.
Yeah, I'm hoping at least I can get in then so I don't, because I'll at least have then Sunday, and then the following Sunday before I head out to Abbott's. Are you going to be going to Abbott's? I mean, with your year, you got a lot of conventions planned?
I'm going to try to get as many conventions as I can. So far, I haven't planned that one yet, but we'll see what my schedule is like.
Yeah.
And
because you are are you one of the first international, I should say, outside the United States presidents?
the first president from outside the United States, first Canadian president of the Society of American Magicians.
Congratulations
Yeah,
on
I'm
all
very proud of that, yeah.
As well you should be. Well, it's great, Rod, to see you, and thanks for being here, and hope you enjoyed this convention.
It's my pleasure, Scott, and nice to see you again here.
Good seeing you, my buddy, friend. So for the Magic Word Podcast, that was Rod Chow. Scotty out. We have had a pretty full day so far of events that have been going on, and I'm here with one of the people who is, in a way, kind of instrumental in working with this. You're on the convention committee, I guess, and
Yes,
officially?
I am.
Okay.
Yes.
A fellow who is on the board of directors for the International Brotherhood of Magicians. Please welcome Mike Woodward. Hey, Mike.
Hey, how you doing, Scott? Glad to be here.
Good to be here. Good to be in your room. Thank you very much for letting me be a part of it last night, too.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Glad.
Kind of fun, and there's so much going on and with the convention so far, and Mario the Magician was just a great way to start things out today.
That was amazing. That was my first time to see him. I'd heard of him, but I'd never seen him until today. And
he's going to be a hard one to top. That much energy, I don't think I've ever in my life, even when I was young, had that much energy.
Yeah. I had somebody on the row in front of me during the lecture look back and go, I'm already tired just watching him.
Yeah. I felt that same way.
Yeah.
And then this afternoon he gave his lecture and talked about some of the stuff about how he did that.
Yeah, I mean, he gave kind of his philosophy, where he's coming from, his background, why he's doing what he's doing, how he came up with the ideas, and showed how a lot of some of the things work, how to build robots.
Yes. Now, I am a judge in the stage contest, so I can't speak much for it. Did you see any of the stage contest?
I did not. I had a business meeting I was in today.
That's right.
So I was, unfortunately, I did not. I was hoping to see it. I'm definitely going to try to get there tomorrow.
Well, that's the thing. For those people who are listening to this and you're in the general area, you might want to come to see the second part of the stage contest, because we had 6 people today. Tomorrow we'll have 7, including 4 youth. Today we had no youth, and it was all seniors, FYI. So what was new? What did they talk about in the board meeting as far as the future right now?
Well, we're looking at ways to increase membership. What value can we bring to magicians? Yeah, benefits. What do the magicians want? What do they need from the I.B.M? What can we provide? What's needed out there? How can we change things around, kind of keep up with the times? So we had some of those discussions, as well as just general business.
Gotcha. And I just thought there might have been something perhaps that may be a different direction or something that someone brought up.
That wasn't today. So there's 3 business meetings. One's the general annual business meeting, which is tomorrow. Today was the outgoing president's last board meeting, and then Friday will be the incoming president's first board meeting.
The real business really gets done, of course, at the mid-year meeting.
Yeah, a lot of that gets done at the mid-year meeting. Right. So we'll walk away from this meeting with ideas, things to work on, and we'll have all the committees will meet, work on whatever they've been tasked with. Then we will come back together at mid-year and then report progress, see how we're doing, get budgets approved and things like that, and getting ready for the main meeting, the annual meeting the next summer. But between the mid-year and the summer meeting at the convention, there's also lots of committee meetings and a lot of activity going on behind the scenes, getting everything together.
One of the things I have to compliment the board on, and you and everybody else who's intimately involved with the convention, is the selection of this location. I think the hotel, which is right next to the airport, they got shuttles to get us over here, so there's no additional expense. It's got everything except perhaps access to outside restaurants. I mean, there's a lot of other hotels around here, but it's not a place you can walk to and easily find other places to eat. That's the only thing. But the rest of that, the rooms are great. Everything are fine.
Yeah, and it's got a great lobby area,
great meeting area.
Meeting area. And, we were kind of limited going into this because we didn't know, we start planning these more than a year ahead of time, what was going to happen with COVID. For all we knew, when we were trying to set this up,
we could be under lockdown.
We could have been under lockdown again, or we could have had, distancing restrictions. So we had to kind of keep planning. I'm not going to say smaller, but we had to limit it to 500, and we had to find a hotel that would work with us with that size. So this worked out really well.
Good location. Speaking of next year, speaking of location, where's it going to be next year?
Next year we're back at Pittsburgh, and we were going to be there in 2020, and that was canceled. And then we postponed that one to 2021. We were going to go to Pittsburgh last year, but again, with all the restrictions and international travel and limiting who could come and who couldn't, we ended up postponing the Pittsburgh and we already had this convention set for Atlanta for 2022, so we'll hit 2023. We'll be in Pittsburgh finally.
Gotcha. I know typically the way the IBM does the conventions is they go crisscrossing the nation, east, west, midwest, and kind of so as to cover everybody, so you don't have to necessarily tour, go back and forth, and also to encourage people internationally to come.
Right. We want to have international people come. We also want to have, if you're on the East Coast, a lot of people like to drive. You're probably not going to drive to California, and people in California are probably not going to drive to Atlanta.
Right.
So they try to spread it around to different regions so that everyone across the country has a chance to attend it at a reasonable.
Now, speaking of conventions, another one I want to talk about is something that you're intimately involved with, which is the Unconventional Convention. So tell me what that is and what it's about and when it is.
The Unconventional Convention is unconventional, to say the least. It is It's a small convention, regional convention. We're pushing up. I can't remember if we just had the 47th or the 48th last year, or if this year's 48th. So we're coming up on 50 years of this convention. And it all started, we had a ring member in the Lexington Magic Club, I.B.M. Ring 198.
That's Lexington, Kentucky, by the way.
Lexington, Kentucky, who was in med school. He was from this rural area of the state. He got involved in he was always into magic. He was in the Magic Club, and then he left when he graduated from med school, did a residency, and then he moved back to his hometown. So he's a couple hours away, locked off in a rural area with no other magicians. And he really couldn't get up to the club meetings because of his medical practice. So he said, I've got an idea. Why don't we have you guys all come down here and hang out for a weekend? Well, there's a state park, and when he was in college during the summers, he actually worked at the state park in the hotel registration desk in the lobby. So he talked to the people at the people at the hotel at the state park and said, "I'm going to have a bunch of guys come down, and we want the meeting room." So he worked it out. So it started out just a bunch of magicians showed up in Cumberland Falls State Park, hanging out for a weekend. They had a meeting room with a stage. They did shows. They invited the lay people that were in the hotel to come to the shows.
If you want to camp out, you could too, I guess.
Yeah, there is camping. However, I'm not sure. It's in November, so I think it's kind of iffy. But so that was how it started. Well, everybody had a good time, and it continued the next year and the next year. Well, eventually we ended up bringing in an invited guest. So now we bring one person, known magician in, who performs lectures, does close-up. They do a few minutes on Friday night, a few minutes on the Saturday night show. And then all the other acts and lectures are by people who show up at the convention.
Oh, okay.
So there is no schedule.
It's kind of like the 4F. It's kind of like what Obi would always say, okay, you're on the afternoon show.
So I can tell you there'll be a show at 8 p.m. on Friday night. That's all I can tell you now.
Who's in?
By 7 p.m. I should know who's going to be on the show, and I will be working on the order these acts are going to go in.
Okay.
And we'll have people show up at 7:30. Hey, I just got here. Can I get on tonight? Yeah, well, we just work them in. So the shows are done that way, but we always have our featured performer, featured guest. And we've had people like Doc Eason, Pop Hayden. We had Lance Burton last year. We weren't sure of the budget last year with COVID, so we wanted to get a local guy and, instead of bringing in a big name. So we had Lance Burton, who lives about an hour away.
Instead of a big name,
yeah, instead of going with the big name, flying a guy in, we just used a local boy.
Yeah,
so.
That's funny. So when is it, and how can people find out more information about it?
It is the first weekend in November, which I believe is it's the Friday night and the Saturday night, and I believe that is the 5th and 6th in 2022, but I will confirm that just momentarily. So, no, it's the 4th and the 5th, so it would be Friday, November 4th, and all day Saturday, November 5th.
Okay, so people could fly into Lexington?
Oh, yeah, we would fly into Lexington. Knoxville's not too far. You could check prices, but yeah, you'd want to fly into Lexington. Then you've got about an hour and a half drive.
Okay,
to
stay at the hotel in the...
Yeah, and we're up on the top of a mountain in an old lodge, state park, so most of the people there are the magicians.
So how many are you talking, like 50, 100?
We have we peaked out at 110 at one point. We're running about 60 to 70 now.
Pretty intimate then.
It's an intimate crowd, small. Everybody's at dinner at the same time in the big dining room.
So it's close up and stage.
Close up, stand up. It's not really like stage. We don't really have
Illusions
for
yeah.
big illusions. I mean, Lance did the Blaney,
ladder
levitation, and we've had people do like a zigzag or something like that. But there's not a lot of stage room.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun. So hopefully we'll get some. And people can contact me if they.
How do they contact?
My email is Mike.Woodward, and that's WOODWARD at AOL.com. Mike Woodward at Mike.Woodward at AOL.com.
Okay, sounds great. Hope more people will get to come to the convention.
We love to have some new people showing up, so it's always fun. And bring your act. Come prepared to perform. Yeah.
Sounds
if you
great.
want to try material out, it's a great place to test an act in front of a friendly audience. We have just a mix. We have kids that have never performed in public before, performing for the first time.
Yeah.
We have retired guys that got into magic after they retired, never actually done a show, trying it out. And we've got guys that are doing it professionally who show up and just take part, and we all have fun.
It's a good place to hang and have fun.
Yeah, it's great. It's perfect.
Old or young. Yeah.
Yeah, all ages. Yes, absolutely.
That's great. Sounds like a fun time. Well, listen, great. Talking to you. Thanks very much. Appreciate all
Thanks,
this.
Scott. Appreciate
So the Magic Word Podcast. That was Mike Woodward. Actually, Mike.Woodward at AOL.com. This is Scotty out.
Good morning to you.
So I was just finishing talking with Mike, and I'm in line. This is the opportunity for us to have the autographs all put on our poster. They got a special poster every year that the I.B.M. does with the talent who is performing then. And one of the guys who usually is talent, or else he always wins a contest, and that is Michael Dardant. I said, it's been a while since you've been in some contests. Here he is. Hey, Michael.
Well, it's also been a while since you could do a contest because we all had to stay indoors.
That's
so
true. That's true.
The contest was like how good can you look in a bathrobe, and I did win a few times on that one.
Well, that's after you drop the bathrobe. I think that's when they got some points deducted. Yeah. I think at that point.
I was amazed at how fast they could blur you out. Yeah, that's technology at its finest.
So you have been fairly busy. I know. Tell me about Twitch, because when we last talked, I had you on my Magic and Martini Thursday. Remember?
Yes.
During lockdown and everything then too, and you were telling me about. Well, I've got just about an hour because I'm going straight over to Twitch, and you got this gaming thing. I still not quite clear on what it is, but tell me.
Not many people are clear on what it is, so it's a little bit hard to describe to most people unless you're in the gaming community, because Twitch was mainly geared to gamers, but now it's everything. So just like YouTube, where you can look up any video, the difference is Twitch is more of live performance. So if you want to see somebody cooking, you can watch somebody cooking live on a Twitch channel, or basically anything, and a lot of it is still gaming. In my case, I'm in the game because it's virtual reality, so I am the character that people are seeing in the actual game due to a program called Live, so they're seeing what I'm seeing in 3D around me, so I'm proportionalized to the environment.
You're wearing an Oculus or something? Or
I am, but they're seeing me as the character, and they were able to see the environment around me.
Now, do you have like an avatar, or is it actually you?
It's actually me. Now, but it's funny you say that, because a lot of people are able to do the same thing with an avatar, because you can actually have, so like one of my friends is a 6-foot cartoon bunny, a sexy bunny who does a lot of the same games
that you're
as me.
interacting with that person.
Yeah, constantly. There's some programs and games where we can actually interact together, but in other words, she plays a lot of the same games that I do. In her case, you're seeing an avatar. In my case, I'm in my ninja uniform. Yeah. I call it a uniform. Some people come in and go, "Is that a ninja costume?" And I correct them right away and say, "I'm sorry, this is a uniform, okay? Because
it's not cosplay.
This is for work." Yeah. And people ask, they'll go like, "What cosplay is this?" I go, "Well, this is me," and I mix and match like a lot of different outfits, but it's basically like a ninja out. I go, the reason I'm dressed like a ninja is because this is how ninjas dress.
Yeah.
And so that answers their question, hopefully. But I do have another Twitch channel that is geared to entertainment, where I'm just myself, and what I've been doing is a lot of the overflow of this something up my sleeve that I've been doing on the I.B.M. Facebook channel, where I interview magicians from all over the world. And in this case, it's a lot of just chatting with magicians behind the scenes about their acts and other entertainers as well. So you can kind of create a Twitch about anything, but that's the most similar to what you do because you taught me how to podcast because I didn't know what podcast was.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I'm flattered. Thank you.
I didn't even know what that word meant.
Well, I'm kind of the OG of podcasting. As it turns out, I'm going in finishing my 11th year, coming up on 700 podcasts.
700
episodes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I was a part of it that one time. I don't remember it because there was a lot of scotch involved.
There was a lot, and that's part of a requirement with some of my favorite guests. And I remember this well. We were just talking about this before we came on the air, that the one we did, no one will ever hear. It was one of my favorite episodes, and that's because there was some technical difficulty. When I tried to transfer it, it was broken into chunks or something. I don't understand it. That's since been repaired, and I haven't had that issue since. But we had to recreate it, and it's like lightning in a bottle that you just can't recreate something that was in the moment, which is exactly what we do when we talk. This is not scripted. It's not something that's 20 questions. It is very much just in the moment kind of conversations. And you just had so much to talk about it, so I do recommend, because that was a phenomenal, I mean, that was the second best episode. But this one you will hear is called Bitten by a Wizard, featuring Michael Dardant. So go back and check that one out.
So I want to know, what do you remember that made it so special? Because obviously it was a moment just for you.
Perhaps it might have been for me. I remember we were talking about contests. Because you won, 15 contests around the world, I guess, whatever. I think you won more contests. You got to have some sort of a Guinness World Book record for the most magic contests to have won.
I think I'm getting close. I think that I'm nowhere near Farquhar, and Copperfield has 12 Emmys. So I'm never, I'm not going to achieve that type of awardship. Yeah. But I didn't realize along the way
he wasn't
that
competing necessarily, like putting together an act the way you and Sean have.
Well, those weren't like magic competitions specifically.
That's my point, yeah.
But
David who again?
I think it's Cochran or something like that.
Yeah.
But I realized along the way that because so many of the competitions that I chose to be involved with had very unique awards, and so accumulating those over the years, all of a sudden I had some of the finest awards that Magic had to offer and the most prestigious. And I think when we were doing this at 4F, the footage that was lost, so to speak, it was maybe right after I got the MVP at 4F, which is, to me, one of the most treasured awards I could possibly ever receive, because one, it's unexpected, and two, it's our peers who are voting over 4 days' time, voting for their favorite act of the greatest sleight of hand artists in the world that are present there. Right. So I didn't expect that at all. It wasn't based on my magic for sure. It was based on my other skills. It was based on comedy, on acting, on improv, on impressions, because that's when I did my Farquhar, my Farquhar impression. And I think that's maybe when we had done that particular interview. I'm sure I was really excited at that point, for sure.
High on adrenaline, that's true. Another thing, we talking about your Twitch, and you're talking about podcasts and everything else that you've done. I may be a little bit of a perv, but I really do like the Instagram posts when you go to these body painting contests.
Oh, yeah. And I was just at one recently.
Were you?
And in fact, I got an award. I was presented.
Why am I not surprised?
It was called the Rainbow of Love Award. And it was totally unexpected, and it's not something you compete for. It was basically them saying, hey, you're awesome, so here's an award. And so that's it. I was really touched by that, especially because I am not an artist at the caliber of the art that you see there, So the fact that this kind of bystander was brought into their world, their realm, and then they end up acknowledging me in that way. They had me do a 15-minute comedy set for the banquet, and then after that...
In that body paint?
I wasn't, the entire time I wasn't body painted, but I've been body painted many times.
I've seen some of your photos.
And, and they are able to paint on the six-pack, so it looks like I have abs. And
you look like that costume or that character that you have on Twitch, I guess.
Yeah, that's how we portray the ninja to be.
Yeah.
I looked like Zac Efron during Baywatch. That's how good. But it's paint, so it's an illusion. But
was that in New Orleans or was it someplace
that
else?
Was in Florida. That was in Orlando, which is usually where that convention is held. Such a great time, and what's great about that art is, it's funny you say, "Oh, I may be a perv," because we're looking at
bit of a voyeur,
essentially
I guess.
we're looking at naked bodies, but. When the art is so amazing that you don't even think about that, because you kind of get over that fact of like, oh, I'm looking at this nude person. You're looking at what was done here and how this art is shining and how amazing it is, and how this imagination comes to life. It is absolutely incredible, and it angers me when people will then take that and turn it around and find a way to make that negative and say, oh, it's nudity. Where's the nudity? Because guess what? She's covered up more than the girl on the beach right now in the shorts and the blue jean shorts.
Yeah.
This painted model is covered up more than that girl is.
That's true.
And so it looks like you're just finding something to complain about instead of appreciating the 8 hours of artistic integrity that went into this design.
Have you ever been to the Crazy Horse in Paris?
No, but now I want to go.
Okay, because similarly, you get over the fact that they're nude women on stage because of their dance, because of the light, the music. The whole thing is just, how do they do that? In which the projection of the light on their body covers their body,
right.
and then when they dance, the light has to follow, or they're following the light exactly. I mean, they can't be like a few centimeters away, or you don't get like the picture of the falling leaves dress on this girl's arm or something.
Right.
You know. Anyhow, it's one of those things that's very incredible that you quickly forget the fact that they are nude, but you gotta. They're painted in light. It's just amazing. So anyhow, if you get a chance to go to Paris and see that,
I would love to, and that's
best
a
show I've ever
perfect
seen in my
example,
life.
Of the fact that arts or talent will trump anything, including nudity.
There you go.
Because the art comes first.
Well, we're not trying to have another whole podcast here and recapture that lightning while I was talking about. So I'm going to wrap this up. So this is just content for today's podcast, talking about the convention. Hope you're having a great time, which I assume you are.
Absolutely. This is incredible. It's my first live magic event since the pandemic.
That you're not even involved in other than just attending.
I'm just attending. I'm not performing. I don't have anything to be nervous about other than being on the podcast. But yeah, this is great. It's so good to see familiar faces and, hug people again and just be part of this magic community, because people don't know that magicians actually are a community and a gathering of people that care about each other, and that camaraderie is what keeps it going.
Yes, exactly. Well put. So for the Magic Word Podcast, that was Michael Dardant. Scott, don't forget, Bitten by a Wizard. Scotty out.